Hey guys, I'm doing a Magikey World Chalice deck list. I just kind of wanted to go through it. I've covered pure Magikey before. A couple of you didn't like that list with me doing some off-the-cuff stuff like running Rescue Rabbit, so this one's a little bit more standard. This one's also pretty easy to make because you can get a lot of the World Chalice cards from the story mode. So between the story mode and the pack that had the Magikey stuff in it, I got this really easily. It's also a very budget deck to play, as pretty much the only SRs you really would need to craft are like 4 SRs. So we're going to kind of go through it and just go through what each thing does. So first up, we have our vanilla monsters. We have our Crowned by the World Chalice. It's a 2100 defense booty. We have our Chosen by the World Chalice. And then we have our Beckoned by the World Chalice. And our Mech Knight Avram. We're running this bad boy because Mech Knight of the Morningstar is a good card to tack in there. Next, we're running the 3 Calcus, the Magikey Skyblaster. And then next we have our first World Chalice monster that's not a vanilla with World Chalice Guard Dragon. When a card or effect is activated that targets your linked monster, any monster that's linked, not co-linked but linked, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So it's kind of a subpar hand trap, but it does have a hand trap functionality. You can banish this card from your graveyard, target a normal monster in your graveyard, special summon it in defense position to a zone your monster links to. To a zone your link monster points to. You can only use this effect of World Chalice Guard Dragon once per turn. So subpar hand trap effect, but decent revive effect. We're only running one because you really only need one. Next we have Lee, the World Chalice Fairy. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add a World Chalice monster from your deck to your hand. If this card is in your graveyard, you can send one monster from your hand or field to the graveyard. So this is pretty decent because it searches, and if it's in your graveyard, the fact that you can recycle it is also pretty useful. That's why we're only running one. You can only use each effect of Lee, the World Chalice Fairy, once per turn. Next we have Magnificent Magikey Map TL, and we're running 3 of this bad boy because this is our tuner, and the synchro monster that you make with him is very, very decent. So we're going to go over him again just in case people didn't see the last Magikey deck profile. Cannot be used as material for a Syncor XYZ summon except for the Syncor XYZ summon of a Magikey monster. If you control a Magikey monster, you can reveal this card in your hand. You can normal summon one Magikey monster during your main phase this turn in addition to your normal summoner set. This is good because it's not considered a special summon. When this card is normal summoned, you can target one level 4 lower normal monster or level 4 lower Magikey monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense position. You can only use this effect of Magnificent Magikey Map TL once per turn. If you want to see the combos that you can do with that, check out the other Magikey deck profile on the channel. Next we have 3 World Legacy World Chalice. You realistically could run 2, but I personally like having 3. If a monster is special summoned from the extra deck, you contribute this card, send the monster or monsters to the graveyard. You can only use each of the following effects of World Legacy World Chalice once per turn. So the fact that you can just send an opponent's monster to the grave and it doesn't target, that's pretty good. If this normal summoned or set card leaves the field, you can special summon 2 World Chalice monsters from your deck, except World Legacy World Chalice. During your main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. So it sucks you can't do it the turn that it was sent, but the fact that it searches is nice, and the fact that you can use non-targeting removal to get rid of a monster or monster, special summon from the extra deck. So like if they bring out Baron to floor, you can basically activate that effect. They'll probably negate it with floor, but that's floor's 1 negate right there. For things that don't necessarily have negates, it's a little bit more useful, but it's a decent card all around. Next, we have Magikey Mech Musket Batso Buster. You can ritual summon this card with Magikey Mafetta. If this card is ritual summoned, you can add a Magikey card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn, when an attack is declared involving this card and an opponent's monster that has the same attribute as a normal monster, one of these guys, or Magikey monster in your graveyard, you can place any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck. And if you do, negate the effect of that opponent's monster until the end of this turn, then draw the same number of cards placed under the deck. So it lets you unclog your hand, and it's a negate, and it can work for water, or fire, or earth, or light, or dark, which pretty broad range, if I do say so. Next, we have our one Magikey Mech Mortar, Gare Glasser. So you can ritual summon this card with Magikey Mafetta. And quick side note, you can actually use advanced ritual art in this deck because you're running so many vanillas if you just want to load the graveyard with stuff. I just want to mention that real fast. Someone in the comments in the other video mentioned that, and I did test it in play test, and it works very well. But onward to this guy's effect. You can ritual summon this card with Magic Mafetta, gains 300 attack for each different attribute in your graveyard. Once again, see these guys. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When your opponent activates an effect of a monster with the same attribute as a monster in your graveyard, if at least 2 attributes of the monster were used to ritual summon this card, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. If this ritual summon card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Magikey monster from your deck to your hand. I'm only running 1 of him. I actually like the Mech Musket more. This guy is just kind of a wall and a beat stick if I actually get to use the boost. I don't resolve his effect that often. Next we have 1 Regeki and 1 Feather Duster. We're not running Lightning Storm because we are running a field spell, and if that gets stuck on the field, Lightning Storm is then useless. Next we're running 1 Foolish Burial. And we're running Foolish because it's useful. We can put this guy into the graveyard and recycle him. We can put this guy into the graveyard. We can put a normal if we need an attribute in the graveyard for the negate effect. We can put this guy into the grave and target the Magikey in the graveyard and special summon it. And then XYZ or Fuse or whatever we want to do. So Burial's a really good card in this deck. Next, we have the 1 Reinforcement of the Army. This guy is a warrior, and this guy is a warrior. So you can search 1 of 2 cards pretty easily. Next, we have the 1 Terraforming. Magikey World is a decent card, and you want to see it as much as possible. Next, we have 3 Unexpected Die. Being able to turbo out something to make additional fusion, XYZ, or synchro plays is really great, and this often gets negated by Ash, which if you draw 2 of them, that's fine because you can actually use more than 1. But if they Ash this, it's typically not a big deal, and it's decent Ash bait. Next, we have 1 World Legacy Succession. You can remove this card and run Advanced Ritual Art if you want to. You can target 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it to a zone a link monster points to. You can only activate 1 World Legacy Succession once per turn. I'd say instead of this, even, we should just be any Monster Reborn because it's from either graveyard. So we're just going to swap those out real fast. Don't know what I was thinking there. Next, we have the 3 Magikey Mafetta. Fusion summon 1 Magikey fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. Or ritual summon 1 Magikey ritual monster from your hand by attributing monsters from your hand or field whose totals level or exceed its level. If you control a normal monster, you can also send 1 normal monster from your deck to the graveyard as material or tribute. So another reason why Unexpected Die is good, you can use that effect to bring out the level 4 or level 8 really easily. Next, we have 3 Magikey World. When this card is activated, you can add a Magikey monster from your deck to your hand. The first time a non-token normal monster you control be destroyed by battle or card effect each turn, it is not destroyed. During your main phase, you can add one Magikey Mafetta from your deck to your hand, then place one card from your hand on the bottom of your deck. You can only use this effect in Magikey World once per turn, and you can only activate one Magikey World once per turn. This effect is great to unclog your hand if you end up with a ton of vanillas. Next we have 2, Piercing the Darkness. If you normal or special summon a non-token normal monster, except during the damage step, you can draw a card. When an attack is declared involving an opponent's monster and a monster you control that is level 5 or higher, normal monster, or was ritual summoned using a normal monster, or is fusion, sync, or XYZ summoned using a normal monster as material, you can make that monster you control gain attack equal to that opponent's monster's attack until the end of this turn. You can only use each effect of Piercing the Darkness once per turn. I really love this card in here because being able to have the extra draw helps in case I brick, and the attack gain is really useful. And then next we have 1 Emergency Teleport. Special summon 1 level 3 or lower psychic monster from your hand or deck, but banish it during the end phase of the turn. Hello, psychic monster. And that's pretty much the only one we're going to do. Just hello, psychic monster. I know it's silly, but we're doing it. Next we have Magikey Battle. Target a normal monster or Magikey monster in your, or Magikey Mafetta in your graveyard. Shuffle it into your deck. Then if you activated this card in response to your opponent's card or activation, normal monsters and Magikey monsters you control are unaffected by that opponent's card effect. So, really decent card, and lets you recycle the Mafetta. I don't know if you'd go through more than 3 of them, but just in case you do. Then we have 1 Magikey Duo. You can target a normal monster or Magikey monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand, and then you can apply one of these effects. Fusion summon a Magikey fusion monster from your extra deck in defense position, using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. Ritual summon a Magikey ritual monster from your hand in defense position by attributing monsters from your hand or field whose levels equal or exceed its material. And then we have Locking. Locking is tribute a normal monster or Magikey monster. Target up to 2 normal or Magikey monsters in grave whose levels equal 8 or less. Special summon those monsters in defense. Then apply one of the following effects. You can either Synchro or XYZ for a Magikey Synchro or XYZ monster. And that is it for the main deck. We're going to go to the extra deck now. Magikey Beast and still it's 1 Magikey monster and a normal monster, except the token. When it's fusion summoned, you can add a Magikey Mafetta from your graveyard to your hand. You can only use this effect once per turn. Once per turn, you can target an attack position monster your opponent controls with the same attribute as a normal or Magikey monster in your graveyard. Change it to defense, and if you do, it loses 1,000 defense. Banish any monster destroyed the battle with this card. This effect is infinitely more useful with our lineup of vanillas with different attributes. Next, we have Magikey Dragon Andrabine. When this card is fusion summoned, your opponent can't activate cards or effects. Once per turn, you can target a normal or Magikey monster in your graveyard. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls with that monster's attribute. Once per turn, if an opponent's monster with the same attribute as a monster in your graveyard destroyed by battle or card effect, if this card was fusion summoned using 2 different attributes as materials, you can draw a card. And next, my favorite of the Magikeys, Magikey Fiend, Transferal Mine. 1 Magikey Tuner, 1 or more non-tuner normal monsters, hence all these vanillas. This card can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. You can only use each of the following effects of Magikey Fiend Transferal Mine once per turn. If you control this card that was synchro summoned using at least 2 attributes of monsters, you can set a Magikey spell or trap directly from your deck to your spell and trap zone. If your opponent normal or special summons a monster with the same attribute as a monster in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can destroy that monster. Next, we have Magikey Spirit of the Partu. If this card is XYZ summoned, you can detach a material, add 1 level 4 or higher normal monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. If this card is a normal monster as material, it gains this effect at the start of the damage step. If it battles an opponent's monster with the same attribute as a normal monster and Magikey monster in graveyard, you can detach 1 and your opponent must send that monster to the graveyard. Next we have 1 Link Spider. And then we have one Imduke of the World Chalice. During your main phase, you can normal summon one World Chalice monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. At the start of the damage step, an opponent's monster, if this card battles an opponent's monster that this card points to, you can destroy that monster. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon one World Chalice monster from your hand. And then Link Spider lets you special summon a level 4 lower normal monster to your hand from your hand to a zone this card points to. So extender. One Almirage, we pretty much are using him just to tribute something, link out to dump something in the grave. And that's about it. One Eve, the World Chalice Priestess. Link card can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. Your opponent can't target this link card with card effects. If a monster this card points to be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card to the graveyard instead. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon one World Chalice monster from your hand. Then we have Nightmare Phoenix. Then we have our boy Mech Knight of the Morning Star. Two monsters, including a Mech Knight monster. That's our one vanilla Mech Knight and any other monster. When it's link summoned, you can discard a Mech Knight or World Legacy card, add a World Legacy card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Mech Knight Morningstar once per turn. If your Mech Knight monster battles a monster in a different column than it, your monster cannot be destroyed by battle, and you take no damage from that battle. Next we have the boy Cross Sheep, covered him before. And then next we have Ningirsu, the World Chalice Warrior. 2+ Link monsters. It's going to be a Link 3. If this card is Link summoned, draw cards equal to the number of World Chalice monsters this card points to. You can only use this effect Ningirsu once per turn. You can send one card from each player's field to the graveyard. If this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can special summon a World Chalice monster from your hand. And then finally, we have Nightmare Unicorn. And that is it for the deck list. There's no sponsor for this video, but thank you guys for watching. Your support means the world to me. There are no replays for this one, as I've already done a Magikey deck profile with replays, and this was more so to just give you the updated list that I'm using. So I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.